Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
Sorry, I was getting Mom and Eddie set up with a game to play after they finished lunch so that we can record. Because babysitting is a thing.
I'm working on birthday party invitations for Elliot.
Yeah, that's cute. I saw Clara had a Barbie birthday. That was adorable.
She did. I did not make it.
Oh.
So, well, it ended at 5 and it was like 4 or something by the time they headed out for Great Wolf Lodge. So
I'm sure they would have enjoyed the help cleaning up.
I asked, and that was not. I also was like not up for that. Yesterday was an incredibly busy day, and after a very emotionally and overall exhausting week. So
you went through it last week.
I went through it last week. I really went through it this last week. It was a lot of good and bad. It was just a lot. It was a lot of roller coaster of feelings. So,
any insights after getting through it all?
Thank God for ADHD medication.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that time of year. Like Friday, by Friday, I was just being an absolute just bitch compared to what I normally am. The students, colleagues, just very short and terse. And then I was like, y'all, I'm sorry, but this is an extremely difficult time of year for me as someone with ADHD, because our schedule is different. My phone is constantly ringing, emails are constantly coming in. Students are coming in going, what can I do to whatever, get to an A, class, blah, so it's just like this constant litany of distractions along with, end of the year stuff, the schedule being changed, all of that. So I really understand why this time last year I had a day where I almost literally just shut down and put on silencing headphones and told everyone not to ask me any questions or say my name for the rest of the day. I just can't anymore today. So I'm going to sit over here with my headphones on. And if you need, if you need me, I'm here. Otherwise, I'm going to open the Calm app and listen to Harry Styles read me a bedtime story while staying awake.
So I'm way too keyed up to fall asleep.
Yeah. Otherwise, I might lose my ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
So that was when I was like, you know what, maybe Heather Davis, and listening to some podcasts and some things. I think that was probably the day that I reached out and was like, yeah, I need to make it up one. Or I don't know, I think I may have made it before then. So Mindy's here.
It's okay. At any given point, I have 3 dogs in here and or 2 elderly people. So, it's fine.
So it was good. And you know what? It's good. It's good for me to get, because I'm finally now after 5 years, I'm to the point where the answer is just no.
Yeah.
At this point in the year, the answer is no. If you haven't been coming to me all along, whether it's you're failing and not going to get to walk at graduation, or you have a B and you just really want an A, the answer is just no.
Yeah.
So, and then also just oh, I don't have anything to do. Can I come to your room and hang out with so-and-so? And it's just no, because then someone's going to look for you and I get more phone calls and more emails and I cannot.
Yeah. It's fair enough.
So it's not really about how I wasted my time this week.
Your time was wasted on you.
Girl.
Woe be gone, your time.
Will be gone my time. Yes.
Well, I watched a ton of stuff, including John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA, which
Okay.
made me very happy, except for the Sarah Silverman episode. You know, she's one of those people where I'm like, I know I should like her. Like,
I was gonna say you hate her a lot.
intellectually, I appreciate her, but I really can't. I don't think she's funny. I can't stand her. Like, if you stand her, great. Just love her more because I can't, and I know I should. But what are you gonna do?
She's got a nasally thing I don't like, but
It's not even. I mean, that doesn't help, but it's the whole itch, and especially in the episode because it was like. But the last Saturday, Eddie's friend and other friend threw him a birthday party. And so I went and picked him up and took him there and helped him bartend at his own birthday party. And there was a guy there who is what I like to call an exhibitionist extrovert. You know, he wears me out, but also it was distracting for Eddie. So that was good. He like showed up wearing a vest with a tie, no jacket, and like a visible wallet chain, like it was 1996.
Did he have a shirt on?
Yeah, he had a shirt on, a long sleeve shirt.
Okay, just checking.
So I mean, he looks like he was in like a ska band. Like, that's how I would describe it. And he was very outgoing. And then he and his wife were trying to convince Eddie that Eddie needed to go skydiving. And Eddie was like, no, thank you.
Oh, wow. I thought he was like, yes to everything. Like, I thought he was in a place where he was like, yeah, I'm young. I can skydive.
No, those aren't the yes ands he's doing. He's taking different.
No.
But I was like, no, well, we're going to go to Mexico and it'll be fine and fun. And that's enough. Like, he doesn't need to go jump out of a plane or whatever. And literally, this crazy man said, Mexican beaches are just full of fentanyl.
I hope that man did not. I'm glad mom wasn't there because your mother is already stressed enough.
I doubt mom even knows what fentanyl is. So I don't
know. But like, she's so stressed about this trip to Mexico.
Why?
And like, well, because she won't take anti-anxiety medication.
Do you know what she said to me the other
let's
night?
look at that's the real reason.
She said, we're not going to go when Elliot's here, are we? I was like, do you really think I would schedule a trip to Mexico where we leave the country while Elliot's here in Texas? Really?
and I'm not. Like,
right. Like, really?
Deuces, Elliot. Good luck. Have fun.
You and the dogs can just take care of each other, right? That's a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
You guys could just fight over some hot dogs.
I'll
be back in a week. Bye.
Here's some life trauma for you. No, she's like, sorry if I'm hijacking your time, but yeah, she's just like very concerned that something's going to happen to Eddie. And I'm like, so like,
I literally driving down there today because I texted him yesterday and I was like, and I'm coming and blah, 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 and pack this and pack that. And he never texted me back. And then I texted him that I was headed there this morning and he didn't text me back. And I was like, he might be dead when I get there. Who knows? We'll see.
She's afraid he's gonna like wander off or like go out and like meet someone who's going to do something to him. And I'm like, Mom, I really don't think that he plans on leaving the resort. Like,
right.
Like, I don't think that he's ever left, like, when he goes and does that.
No, they do, because he told me today they go into town. Because I was like, do you know if they carry Coca-Cola products? Because this is now my big concern, is trying to figure out how we get the right kind of wine and Coke Zero for our mother. Like, that's, you know, other than figuring out what the dates are. Because I got to rely on another crazy, useless old lady to figure that out. And then once I have the dates, then it's like making sure we need to like pack cases of Coke Zero to get her through the week. And Eddie was like, no, you just go into town. And then he said, oh, and you know, sometimes bags of marijuana just wash up on the beaches and the federales are there. And I was like, wait a minute, is there really fentanyl on the beaches? Like, is this real? I don't actually know what's going to happen. So it's going to be great. Can't wait.
I don't know. Ultimately, I told Mom to stop worrying about it, let you worry about Eddie, and for her to just go and have a good time.
Yeah. She can have her own repeat. She doesn't have to be responsible for him. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
there's
did.
her and me and this other couple. Like, we can divide him. Like, they can have him at nighttime. We can have him during the day when he's less likely to wander around.
Oh, there's another couple. No, that other couple's going too.
They're supposed to be. Yeah, that's why. That's why I'm waiting on to get dates.
Well, good times.
We'll spread the love. So last night, I started working on my book again.
What? Yay! That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mindy's excited to hear that. Look, Mindy, are you excited? Look.
Hey, Mindy. This dog is doing nothing.
She's coming over here. She's coming to see you. She's wagging her tail.
She's not paying attention to me at all. This is terrible podcasting. I'm cutting it all out.
Okay.
So I recorded the prologue on an audio file and listened back to it, and it didn't make me want to throw up. So that felt good. So I figure maybe I'll re-record it because I messed up a little bit. But I might re-record that and release it as a bonus and see if the audiences enjoy it. So
nice.
So now my challenge is to try to figure out if I have to do an English accent for Peter's character. And if so,
yes.
which one I'm going to do.
I feel like there's like AI apps for that. Like you can't just have like
I don't know if that's going to be better or worse. I mean,
some of them are really good. You have to pay for them, but yeah,
I don't know
sound
about
like
joke telling with the, like the timing.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'd rather the dialogue come off than the accent come off, So I figured I'd listen to some others like that do their own. And then the plan is to release it in e-format, like ebook and print and audio, all by myself. So we'll see.
Okay, and then hope that someone else, that like a publisher, then picks it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then hope that I have the energy to keep writing because work is dumb and I'm tired of it. So that's what I got.
I feel that.
Hey, what do you remember? We'll start with airplane. How about that?
Oh, we're gonna start with airplane. Oh,
yeah, is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. I also like started a song with this, and then was just like, this isn't that good. I remember that I liked it a lot as a child and watched it a lot, and watched probably the second one too.
Oh wow!
I wrote drinking problem. Pilot turns to Jello. Maybe part 2. Nuns speak jive, which is not what happened. Somebody gets slapped, which also may have been in part 2. Spurned lover / PTSD.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I just wrote so many lines because I remember tons of lines.
Yeah.
I was like, focus on what you forget. So I forgot that it starts with the Jaws theme, so that made me laugh.
Was that like the opening was really strong and funny, and then it just kind of like petered out?
Yeah, the white zone. Don't start with your white zone shit again. It was like
that was really
wife arguing
funny
over the red and the white zone, and then I did not remember that it was really an abortion argument. Nope, didn't remember that at all.
Nope, did not.
Forgot. The variety of jokes based on magazines were very funny. I was laughing a lot.
Modern sperm.
Yeah, the whacking material section. A lot.
It was a lot of wordplay.
Yes, the guy at the Mayo Clinic and the hopping around.
There was definitely, it reminded me a lot of Blazing Saddles. Like, I guess that kind of humor was just real popular in the late 70s, early 80s.
The satire, yeah.
Yeah.
Gross that people used to smoke on airplanes. It's so gross.
I like how when she was all, you should have just taken the job at Boeing. I'm like,
That's what happened. There's too many boobs, and there's a running gag of implied child molestation.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. Yeah.
Which I think I knew as a kid. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that didn't like I kind of remembered that too, like the pilot, like, have you ever seen a grown man naked? Like, oh, okay. Yeah, creepo.
The lighting is terrible.
Yes.
So many shadows.
Like, did y'all actually film this on a plane?
No, it didn't. It was a set of some kind, but like a box with way too many shadows. Not great. I love Mary, aka Johnny. Toward the end,
Mm.
super flamboyant guy who kept running in and making jokes.
Oh my God, yes, with all his little jokes, yes.
He was killing me. And him.
Yeah.
And there was Tab at one point. And I have one last thing to wrap it up, and that's all I got on Airplane. What else you got, sister?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was fun. That was fun. Every time when he started talking about them being in the Peace Corps and like all of the flashbacks to that, and then I was like, is this and watching The Gods Must Be Crazy what made me want to study anthropology?
Quite possibly.
I was also confused about which war it was that he was supposed to have
Oh
been
yeah,
in.
that was definitely intentionally confusing. So this is like so the entire plot of this is from a movie potentially called Airplane without an exclamation point. And literally, and so that there's like an argument on Brett Goldstein's podcast because people a lot of times will say this is the funniest movie ever made, which rewatching it now, I'm like, no, not.
No,
and then
it's
so
not.
then it becomes like, well, can you count it because it doesn't even have its own plot? I'm like, the plot is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because it's like, what war? It's like 1980. What war was he in? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it makes absolutely no sense.
But the Saturday Night Fever dance scene is very funny to me. So, and I didn't realize that it started with the brawl with the Girl Scouts, and that was also very funny.
Like the Hare Krishna, I feel like Hare Krishnas were like such a thing in the 80s. Like this goes back to my whole like what happens to jokes when jokes just die.
Yeah.
Like whatever happened to the Hare Krishnas? Like,
well, nobody can go hang out in airports anymore. So,
well, I guess that's true. Like you can't just hang out in an airport. But I remember Hare Krishnas being like and I remember Dad making some very racist jokes about Hare Krishnas too.
oh, for sure.
Is the Church of Religious Consciousness supposed to be making fun of Scientology?
No, because they said Scientology too.
Oh, did they really? Okay,
oh, yeah.
I missed that
They
part.
Threw in every possible, because this is also a time when cults were pretty big, like late 70s, early 80s was heavy.
Oh, yeah. So everyone was on drugs.
Yeah.
Let's bring that back. How about a time where cults are really crazy big?
I mean, they're kind of big right now.
Oh, wait.
There's kind of a huge one who worships a man and they go around wearing golden diapers. I mean, I saw a meme today and there was like a lady literally at one of his rallies wearing a golden diaper. And the comment was, "Lady, your cult is showing."
I saw an NPR headline about the people that wait every day to go in and watch and sit in the courtroom in New York.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that must be fun.
Yeah.
But they're not part of the cult. I don't think.
That actually reminds me. So after I watched this movie, I needed an intellectual and aesthetic palate cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched Anatomy of a Fall, the film that won the Palme d'Or last year. Which is it was a very good film. It had a lot to say about reality and fiction and whether or not justice can be served in some situations and how judgment plays out in a crowd. Like the crowd in the courtroom keeps getting bigger every day. And it's like you get that feeling of like it becomes more like a soap opera, and there's not really an actual search for justice because there's not enough factual information to inform what really happened. So then it just becomes about who can tell the better story.
Yeah.
And who can win that argument. But on a very I don't know. It was fascinating. It was really fascinating to watch. But yeah, that made me think about it. It was like that sort of like, especially I think like in the 19th century, it was like before there was like TV and there was vaudeville and stuff, but not that much to do. Like, you gotta figure there were a ton of people that just like went to the courthouse and were like, what's going
Hung
on
out.
today?
Maybe that's what I'll do in retirement when my old age. If I ever retire, is I'll just go hang out at the courthouse.
You'll be in trouble though, because you'll talk too much. You'll be like, he's lying.
I'll be back there going. Be like me in a meeting.
So the last thing I have on Airplane is that I really wish that we could make a real airline called Trans-American that's trans-friendly.
Yes.
And all the stewards are bots and they're all modeled after Johnny. And that's all I got on Airplane.
Yeah, the movie did not need to be as long as it was.
No. It was only 90 minutes, but yeah.
Oh. That was like an SNL digital short. Like it should have been a digital short. Like it did not need to be a whole damn movie.
It's just like a bunch of lines strung together, and a bunch of visual jokes and things. Yeah. Set pieces. Not very well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last week we were supposed to talk about The World According to Garp from 1982. What do you remember about The World According to Garp, Brian Davis?
I remember a lot about The World According to Garp because I've watched the movie many, many times, and I also read the book, which was unusual for me. Especially because I don't like to read a book if I've seen the movie. Like, I'll watch a movie if I've read the book.
Yeah.
But I don't usually, because, like getting into a book is hard for me. So if I feel like as I've gotten older, I forget plot easier.
Sure.
So now I'm not about it, but I don't usually will read a book if I'm going to watch the movie. So.
Okay.
But I did read that book. So I didn't really.
You brought it back to the Julie Quinn books, right?
I did, but I hadn't seen any of the but I didn't go back and read the first one. Okay. Because I had seen the original Bridgerton, so but I was like, well, let me read these before all the others come out. Which is what I did to cleanse my palate after watching this movie, because it's not a awesome, happy movie. So I was like, we'll save the last episode of this round of Bridgerton season 3 for after I watch The World According to Garp last night.
There you go.
And I probably may have also fast forwarded through some parts.
I'm not surprised. I think it would probably hit you a little bit harder because you actually have a kid.
Yes.
So I viewed this much more objectively, and I can talk about that. I pulled a Pauline Kael quote. Okay. I'm going to go and say, I got a Roger Ebert quote. I got a Pauline Kael quote. I got to get into this.
I have a story, like a memory about it related to it. So, but yeah.
I remember the basketball player joke, gradual school, John Lithgow, that publishing is about timing, the house plane, and a lot more. And the undertow, I remember a lot. We watched this movie a lot when we were kids.
Yeah.
I also did my 11th grade author project on John Irving.
You did.
I wanted to do Tom Robbins, but there wasn't enough biographical material available about Tom Robbins at the time.
So I did Tom Robbins, and it didn't matter because I did a terrible job. Because I waited till the last minute, and I can still remember being up the night before doing a terrible job, but the cover looked amazing.
Oh, I bet it did.
Because we had to make a very pretty, cover for, who was that?
Wellborn.
Wellborn.
Yeah,
Miss Wellborn's class. Yeah. So. And I was very much suffering from you're Heather Davis's sister and all of those AP English classes.
That's actually Dad's fault, because he went to parent-teacher conferences that year for me, 11th grade. And he said to Jane Wellborn, because she was Catholic, right? So he knew her.
Yeah.
And he was like, does she talk in class? And she said, no, she never says a word. And he said, make her talk. So you can blame him.
Also, you read books and did your work well on time and probably edited things that you wrote instead of just writing them and turning them in.
Well, I mean, I did all that too, but it wasn't like I was shining. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just a nerd. And then, because she got to the point where, like, especially, and then in 12th grade too, it was like once they knew it, then they were like, when they got to that point where it was like they asked the most obvious thing in the world and nobody could come up with the answer. And I'd just sit there. And then they'd finally be like, Heather, and I'd be like, well, it's blah, 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 right? And they're like, yep. Like, can we move on? Like, I can't do this in math or science or any other subject, but yes, literature, I can do this. This is a little literature monkey. It's so cute. Yeah. I thought the order of the opening credits was interesting because he put casting in really early. So I thought that was an interesting choice to show appreciation for casting. I thought it was very interesting that in Jenny's house growing up, you could say son of a bitch, but not sperm.
Did Jenny Fields become Jenny Fields?
How did she?
Yeah.
So I feel like she's a proto Yorgos Lanthimos character.
I'm sorry. Is that a Pokemon? A proto Yugos Sloverdersh.
So Yorgos Lanthimos is the Greek director. He's Greek, and he made Poor Things and The Lobster and The Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Great. Have you seen the one with Nicholas Hoult and Elle Fanning or whichever one she is? Anyway.
What?
It's called The Great. It's a TV show on Hulu.
Oh, yeah. I started watching it. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the conceits that he uses, he will have people speak like they have autism, is how I would describe it. I realize that is definitely a not great way to phrase that. I am using a linguistic shortcut to get to a point. But that is literally, I mean, he'll just have like how when she's talking to her son and he's like, blah, 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 or like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Dada is dead, like, and just moves on.
I did write, like, is Jenny autistic? Like, yeah. I wrote that down. Like, is she autistic? Like, is she somewhere on the spectrum? Because
I mean, I feel like that's what she is. So I don't remember whether or not I have read this book. I have read many, many John Irving books, but I don't recall having read this one. I might have. Most of the people who had a problem with the movie, they had read the book, and they had read the book very recently. So what they were seeing was what the writer and the director did was they collapsed a lot of the characters, especially the female characters, but they also do it to GARP, where a lot of the complexity just gets squeezed out. And a lot of the feminist messaging, while this seems like a very feminist film, is actually lost as well.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of, and I don't want to get into that because this isn't that kind of film podcast. I mean, this is like,
the book's better than the movie. Yeah. Like,
yes. But I was really sweet. I thought it was really sweet when she was like, are you going to go to bed or are you going to stay up and think your weird thoughts?
Yeah.
It made me think of Elliot a lot. And then I was like, oh yeah, he has a stalker, because it's weird because GARP has a stalker his entire life. And that is very weird.
The boo thing, like,
she's problematic.
Yeah. Well, we can. Yeah.
I did write that John Irving is the original Taylor Swift, that he is mining his own life to create his own art. Because he didn't have a dad, right? He went to Austria when he was a kid, or Vienna, and he grew up. He wrestled. He grew up in the Northeast, like.
Oh, I know. Like, all of his stories are like New England. I think at one point I was like, white people are so boring.
Yeah.
Like, it's Yeah. Well, it just made because like we were trying to think about it's like, what do you want to watch a movie one day? Because there's like nobody there, and somebody said something about Dead Poets Society. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was like, you want to watch that? And they were like, yeah. I guess I said it like that. They were like, why? I was like, I mean, privileged ass white boys. Like, I guess we could watch it. I was like, I mean, you really want to watch privileged ass white boys at a all boys academy?
You're
So,
like, will this make you care about anything ever? Because
well, these are kids that I like and who do care about things, you know. So this is one who like recently was like, Davis, I just like talking to you. I was like, well, I'm God, that's what I'm here for. They were like, you don't like us, do you? And I was like, I like you very much unless I'm trying to teach you something. And then it's not very enjoyable to be around you because you're very resistant and make it hard. But yeah, so this just reminded me of that. Like, just, I think I'm just to a point in my life where I am done with privileged white people stories.
Sure.
Like I don't care. Like I don't care that if you're sad or you don't have choices or you have to like fit a mold or whatever it is. Like I just if you are a white person with privilege, I don't care about your story. Like,
yeah.
Now or in the past.
Well, in that case, how does the John Lithgow character fit in?
I mean, I love the John Lithgow. It was mostly like up until he gets like just the school, like the boys' school, like that whole New England, Cape Cod, like the house in Cape Cod, and like all of that, until he's like married. I was just like, I don't care. But yeah, of course I love the John Lithgow character, and I think, again with this being they let you watch this series, like if for that, I'm glad. Like I'm glad that we were exposed to that idea or that reality at a young age. And I don't recall ever being like confused or whatever about that character because it was just a person. Like I mean, I'm glad that it was there. I'm glad that it was part of it. I will say that I'm pretty sure that because of this movie, is where I learned about blowjobs.
Oh, okay.
And I also recall
Wait, you didn't learn that from Airplane?
No, from Airplane. While it was very,
But that was a literal blowjob. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, I guess I should say I learned that women would sometimes put men's penises in their mouth. Like that was a thing. Like I learned that was a thing people do.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember having a fairly awkward conversation with Dad about it.
Oh, that would be awkward.
Yeah, I don't remember how or why, but it was like about this movie. But like we were in his his work van, like doing like I was traveling with him on his job or whatever, and I don't remember how it came up, but like I was talking about the scene where like with the car wreck and then like the aftermath and like John Lithgow's like, at least I was under anesthesia when mine came up, and like Dad having to try to explain. He's like, well, what do you think was happening in that? Or so I don't remember all the ins and outs, but my takeaway is that was when I was like, oh, like, okay, so I didn't quite understand. Like, it's like I was there and I was like old enough and experienced enough, I think, to put some things together, but the pieces weren't all clicking for me. So
sure,
that was a fun memory I have with this movie brings up.
Well, before we get there, I do feel like Jenny is way too interested in Garp's burgeoning sex life. And then following him to New York is a lot.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
while they're in New York, I would like to say that of all the things that I dislike about living in a city, slogging groceries around has to be the number one. Like,
No,
sorry.
thank you. I've always wondered, like when people like on shows or TV or like New York and they're talking about going to IKEA, I'm like, how do you go to IKEA? How do you go to IKEA? Like, if you don't have a car, like,
I think it all
what do
gets delivered. I'm not sure.
you-
Yeah.
like there's no Costco. Like, you spend so much money living in this city.
I know. Garp needs to invest in some binders instead of carrying his loose leaf shit around. It's making me tired. But I did think that when they did the effect where he was like looking through the blinds and kind of seeing his memories that led to him writing that first short story, I thought that was really a cool effect.
Well, I mean that kind of goes back to like his imagination, that they establish early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what Jenny's issue with like lust is and why she's so disgusted by it and offended by lust.
So that was one of the things they were saying about the book is that she actually instilled that in Garp. So they took that out of the movie. So in the book, he has a lot of self-loathing. So he has it, he feels it, and he doesn't.
I see that in the movie though too.
A little bit, but
yeah,
the disparity between him cheating and her cheating, and then also in the book, he cheats more than once, not just once, and they took that out in the movie. Like, there's a lot. I did think that the cable knit sweater kid was way too thirsty. Like, he needed to calm himself down.
The original fuckboy.
It reminded me. Did you watch The Idea of You?
Yes.
Okay. What did you think of The Idea of You?
It was good. I enjoyed it. Like, there was something about his character that I didn't like. But overall, I thought it was really good. They had really good chemistry, so it was really hot.
They had pretty good chemistry. I think he's just not a very good actor.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was like, I don't think he's a really great.
Also, it breaks my rule where, like, I don't care that she's older, but they break the rule because she's 40 and he's 20 something.
7, I think.
Yeah.
Or 25.
Yeah. So they break the rule because it should be half your age plus 10. So.
I thought it was half your age plus 7.
No, it's half your age plus 10.
And also, who says you get to make the rules?
It's a good rule.
I don't think it's a good, like, if you're just having fun, then I don't think it cared.
Yeah, but that was not what the point of the movie was. They were more than having fun. But
yeah, but they waited until he was older. But I guess the math still applies.
They did not wait. Wait for what?
Well, they waited till later, like, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, like the ending. So if you haven't seen it and you plan on watching it, spoiler alert, but
I also sometimes feel sexually ambiguous. I don't remember who said that, but I do feel that. I need to have the Letterman sweater that the wife had. That was a great sweater, and I really need to have it.
I love how she just wore sweats all the time.
Yeah, she's great. You give a shit.
Yeah,
Garp is such a little bitch, taking his anger out on his kids. Like, and that little kid roasting him, being like, I guess we're still having fun.
Yeah, no, that kid was very good at roasting. And just like the absolute, like, he was like such the embodiment of fragile male masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's redundant, of fragile masculinity. Like, when he got so mad about how well her book was selling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that it's not about whether her book is good, but like, her book is selling better and he's getting all pissed off about it.
Yeah. I would like a house in the Hamptons at which to heal. And let me read you some movie quotes that I think are helpful.
Okay.
I think this is Roger Ebert. He was entertained but unmoved, considering it a palatable interpretation of the novel, wonderfully well written, yet cruel, annoying, and smug. I thought the acting was unconventional and absorbing, especially by Williams, by Glenn Close as his mother, and by John Lithgow as transsexual, old language. I thought the visualization of the events by director George Roy Hill was fresh and consistently interesting, but when the movie was over, my immediate response was not at all what it should have been. All I could find to ask myself was, what the hell was that all about? Pauline Kael. The movie version of John Irving's novel, directed by George Roy Hill from a script by Stephen Teisch, has no center. It's a simple series of vignettes spanning Garp's life from his beginning to his end. This isn't necessarily bad. Hill's pastel, detached, and generally meaningless comedy may, in some ways, be preferable to the Baroque apparatus that Irving constructed. But in recounting the book's key incidents, Hill and Teisch lay bare the pattern of mutilations in the plot. Tongues, ears, penises, eyes, lives, everything on the screen is losing something. If you listen to what Garp says, the movie is about love of family. If you look at what happens, though, it's a castration fantasy. The masochistic gifted victim game has been played in recent American writing on just about every conceivable level, but Irving's novel is still something special. He created a whole hideous and deformed women's political group, the Ellen Jamesians, in order to have his author hero, his alter ego, destroyed by it, and the film is faithful to Irving's vision. But I kind of wanted to go back to Ebert, that like, what was it about? Because so after I watched this, I think it was the next day, I watched Iron Claw. So about the Von Erich brothers, right?
Okay.
And wrestling.
Yes.
So, I'm going to spoil it. I didn't really know.
I don't plan to watch it, so go ahead.
I don't really know that much about it. You know, he starts off and it's like, our family's cursed, whatever. I didn't realize just how cursed these boys were. Like, 2 of them died. And then like the third one, so there's 4. So 2 out of 4 died. The third one is like loses part of his leg in a motorcycle accident. And then the 4th one is the main one, the oldest one that survives. Actually, there were 5 because one of them died when he was a child. So 5 boys, and you get 1 and like, 7/8 that make it through, right? And like, I feel like that movie and this movie suffer from the same problem where they present you something that's really tragic and sad. I mean, just sad, but they present it in such a way that it's like, well, I wrote all these funny jokes and here I'm going to tell you my funny jokes. Why aren't you laughing? Where it's like they didn't direct it in a way where it evokes the actual emotion. It's like they just think because here all these sad things happen, now be sad. And I get for you, again, because you have a child, it might actually hit you differently. But like for me, not having a child, I'm just like, I don't feel this. Like the most emotion I felt in the whole movie was when she was playing the piano and he ran down and slammed that piano down. But other than that, I didn't really feel anything. Like it just, there was nothing to it. Like he did not push them hard enough in any scene to make me believe that they were feeling the depth of emotion they should be feeling. Based on
like even when they like the scene where at the like when they finally come back together and they're talking about how much they missed, you know what I mean? That didn't get you
a little bit there, but then to have him dying at the ending, I like wanted to laugh. Like when he's like, "I'm flying," I'm like, like it just didn't.
I guess like my takeaway, and this is very much obviously tainted by like my own whatever like everything is, but like as you know, Elliot has a tendency, especially at nighttime, at bedtime, and I don't know if that's because when he's thinking about it or if he knows that it will get me to have a conversation and then he doesn't have to go to sleep for a while longer, to talk about death. And like ask me if he's gonna die, if I'm gonna die, and get upset and say that he doesn't want to die, So I think that part of watching the movie this time was something that I picked up on a lot.
Yeah.
Some of her bluntness and like those conversations around death and life. Because the last conversation, last weekend on Mother's Day, we're going to sleep and he's like, "Mommy, I love you." And then like asking me about, if I'm going to die and he's going to die, and, getting upset and saying he didn't want to die. And so then I pick him up and I'm holding him. And I think the line when her father dies and she says, "Everybody dies, but that's not what it's about. It's you know, I don't remember exactly what she says, but it's like about the life you lived before that.
Yeah.
That because everyone dies and you can't control that, but all you can control to some degree is like the time you have and the life you have experienced. Like it's kind of like trying to tell Elliot that. And he was staring at the painting behind me that Mom made, and then his response was like, "Where's the bird's wings?" And you're not even listening to me. Like, oh, okay, so we're not talking about this anymore. Like, while I'm about to like break down in tears because you're like, I don't want to, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that for me was what the movie was like, because it starts with his birth. It starts with him as a baby and he's flying, and then for him to end, and it's like, so it made sense to me.
It's not that it
starts
doesn't make sense. I just didn't feel it.
Oh well, no, like I didn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Because they even show the baby flying again at the end. It's like, oh, in case you didn't get it, remember? I mean, I know it was 2.5 hours ago because your movie's too long, but yeah, I
oh my god, it's so long, so long.
So now I have an important. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, like, but I have a question. So we're talking about him now. Why did Boo shoot him? Like, why did she shoot him? Was she just obsessed with him? Is it just not like? What was that whole thing about?
I feel like it's an obsession. Without reading the book, I don't want to answer. I don't want to answer it based on the movie.
Okay, I don't remember it in the book. I mean, honestly, the only thing I remember about reading the book is that instead of New York, they go to Amsterdam.
Yes, but there were many other things. Like the whole, so they have like the mansplaining thing where, so he's a writer. What's his wife's name? I'm sorry, this is terrible. I'm being a bad feminist.
What is her name? Helen.
In the book, he knows nothing about literature. I mean, she graduates like with her master's when she's like 20 or something. I mean, she is like immersed in the world of literature. And so that whole thing where he's like, oh, and Joyce had a wonderful tenor voice and all this shit, like that was ad-libbed. That was like Robin Williams having to show off to the character. Where it's like, no, that's not this character. This character, like, she never went to a single wrestling match in the book. She was not into it. She was not supporting him. And I mean, yeah, in the movie, she's not really paying attention, but she's still there. I mean, they took a lot of liberties with her character to make her fit into a more conventional mold of what a wife should be, which is unfortunate. But not surprising. So, but again, not doing a comparison. But no, I think that the obsession that character has with him is very difficult to understand. And I think it's played well in the movie. And it all just feels like a whole lot of like mutilation drama, like stacked on top of each other toward the end. So, but you can't say they didn't give you any foreshadowing because Lord, the movie is filled with it. So here's my question. John Lithgow's character was incredibly affectionate and hugging and hugging and hugging and kissing on the lips. Yeah. I have a friend, married couple, and the guy does the kissing on the lips thing. And I know it makes his wife uncomfortable. And it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know if I just need to be more European about it or it's like I just feel like it's weird. Like the air kiss thing or like a cheek thing feels okay, but like just direct mouth kiss, like, and I don't know if it's because also our mother won't hug us, but she will kiss us on the mouth, which is also creepy. Like, I don't know if I just have like if I'm not romantically involved with you, get your mouth away from my mouth. Like, is that my problem? Or like, can I get a reality in here?
Because that's interesting because like Elliot, like, very rarely gives kisses.
Yeah.
He'll let me give him a kiss most of the time now, but like rarely will he give a kiss, and even more rarely will he give me a kiss on the mouth.
Okay.
Like, and I know that because when he does do it, it reminds me that he doesn't. And so like he did recently, like I don't remember what happened, but it was like just a real moment of like sincere I love you, whatever, like came out, So I don't know, because I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that, It's like a peck on the mouth. And I know mom does mouth kisses, which my friends have commented on previously about how weird that is. That like, but it doesn't bother me. It's never bothered me that mom kisses us on the mouth. Wait, so like your friends who are a couple,
Yeah.
she doesn't like that her husband kisses her on the mouth?
No. Kisses friends.
Kisses friends.
Yeah.
Is this the same friend who used to do it to me because he knew it bothered me?
No.
Oh, okay. Because we have that friend too who likes to kiss people on the mouth.
Yeah.
And he like, I remember him telling like, I think he didn't think I could hear him one day when he did it to me, and he like said to you like, I know it bothers her and that's why I do it. It's like,
I don't remember
that's
what friend is, but that's
okay. I know it doesn't bother me. It's fine, so in a way, I guess I did get a little desensitized to it.
So non-neurotic listeners, let us know, what do you think about mouth kisses from friends? Because I'm not into it. I don't like it.
Unless you're romantically involved with someone. Do we kiss?
Mouth kisses from friends is the
Yeah.
specific mouth kisses.
We just hug. We don't kiss each other, right? Like we don't do like cheek kisses or we just hug.
Yeah.
Mom hugs. What do you mean mom won't hug us, but she kisses us?
She hugs now. She used to not hug. I made her hug. I turned it. I changed it. And also, if she comes at me, I move my face. Get away from me.
I don't remember a time of mom not hugging, but maybe I just should never give her the option because I'm such a hugger. It's weird now. Like, I think like after COVID, it's hard to like get back to hugging people.
Yeah. It's
awkward.
Yeah.
And even with students, like because I think before
never hug a student ever. When they hug me, I'm like, I stand perfectly still. Like,
yeah, like when I'm like, do you need a hug?
Nope. Like,
nope. Really say it. Like, and sometimes they've said yes, and you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like a consent thing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like touching, like, I don't want to say touching students because that just sounds terrible. But you know what I mean? Like being physically with, like,
yes,
it's very like pat, like,
yeah. No.
I feel bad because I feel sometimes like they want you to hug them, and I'm like, but I see teachers who do, like every morning they're like, oh, hey. It's kind of like a side.
I would need like, like multiple witnesses. Like, nope.
Yeah. Elliot's godfather and I, when we lived together as friends, our friendship, occasionally like we would do like friend hugs because we were both like, we just need a hug because we were both just like single and sad and lonely. Like, yeah. So like there was definitely times when I was like, do you need a hug?
I mean, I definitely do things where it's like hug your friends and make it weird. Like, hold your friend for a long time until it's weird, because it doesn't count. If you just give somebody a 2-second hug, you might as well not. You don't get any of the benefits of a hug. Like, you need to hold the hug, make it weird, but not kiss on the mouth. So we have a listener's choice episode coming up, y'all. Our very next episode, actually, the last one before Ryan takes a little hiatus to go do traveling things. And then potentially we have a hometown heist coming. More on that if that actually happens. We'll see. But because Bridgerton is out and people are excited about it, I thought it would be fun to rewatch some of the saucy, spicy, swoony period pieces from the 80s. So we have some options. I've
never heard of any of these options.
2 of these I've never seen, and one of them I saw in like the 2000s. But 2 of them we definitely watched when we were in the 80s. So the options are Morris, which is spelled like Maurice, from 1987, starring Hugh Grant and some other dude. A Room with a View from 1985. Dangerous Liaisons from 1988. Okay. Camilla from 1984, and The French Lieutenant's Woman from 1981. So
I wonder what that one's about.
Tell us about.
Was that part of the same writer as A Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover?
I think it's about a grocery store.
The French lieutenant's wife. Like, she doesn't even get a name.
That's how they do it. So tell us, y'all. Tell us what you think. That's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We're so glad that you do. Join us next week when we discuss whatever movie you tell us you want to watch. Otherwise, I'll just put them in a random picker on the internet and spin the bottle. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? Was it kissing your friends on the mouth? What did we forget? What should we talk about in future episodes? We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram and Threads at iloveyoubutpod or email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.